All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm waiting for everybody to hop in here. Just a second, dude. Just gonna let everybody go or hop on here. So, all right. What's up, everybody? Thanks for dropping a like already. Appreciate that. All right. Once everybody hops on, see a few people are hopping on. We'll go ahead and we'll get started. All right. First thing I'm going to be doing tonight is we're going to be going over earnings going into this week and the next week. I want to kind of highlight a few stocks. I got my whiteboard clean. We're going to kind of look at a few stocks that could be potential winners here in the future. We're also going to look at AMBL. I'm just going to chart that one so that way we can kind of have an idea of where we're heading. Excuse me. All right. Thank you for the likes, everybody. All right, here we go. Okay. So right off the bat, let's go ahead and let's go look at some earnings. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. All right. So right off the bat, Monday, nothing really exciting. Oracle is definitely one that we can keep an eye on for sure. H&R Block. I also want to pull up Quiver Quantitative. Looks like it's making me sign up or sign in. There I am. Okay. So we're gonna look at some of this to kind of get an idea. Although these can be 30 days delayed. So I'm going to pull up there. Ooh, nice purchase of Microsoft. That's a good sign. Okay, so like I said, Oracle, H&R Block. Those are two that we're going to be watching. Let's see here. Nothing. Not a very exciting earnings week at all. Adobe will be interesting. That one's very expensive. Friday, there's no stocks reporting. One thing also, that's important to remember is that we have earnings this week. Or excuse me, not earnings, but we have basically inflation news. 1 second here. So this way, I'm trying to pull this together. Yeah, so the FOMC meeting, basically that will conclude policy statements, and Jerome Powell, the central bank, is going to be closely watched to see how it handles the inflation, and if it sticks with the view that higher prices are transitory. So we have a lot of economic data that's going to be coming in this week that can really affect all of the potential setups that we have. So we're still trading in murky water. So the first thing that I want to say is just, remember that, awesome coach. Sorry, I just saw your comment. Just remember that, during these type of, inflation, scary, crazy news article times, it's just important to not put put too much risk out on the table. So if you have a normal size that you would normally play with, if the market's choppy or if there's low volume, make sure that you're sizing down on your risk. So right off the bat, the only not very exciting earnings week for the next 2 days. BlackBerry does have earnings, which is on the short squeeze list. I imagine that one may be one that, I don't know. They seem to go down a list. So AMC, if you go look at the Google statistics on the searches between Game, AMC, BlackBerry, Game fell off, after the first initial pump, and then AMC, that one initially stayed pretty steady. BlackBerry is another one that stayed pretty steady. So, although earnings probably will dump it, it's one to watch for at least that type of behavior. Okay. All right. Well, with that, we got Plug Power and Hexo. Those are two that I'm pretty familiar with. Yeah, nothing else there catching my eye. Okay, well, with that, that's funny. Tizania Life Sciences. They're the one that's always get confused with Tesla. All right, so funny Roblox is there. All right, so right off the bat, let's see here. Going over my notes. In the automotive sector, some news that we should keep an eye on. Lordstown Motors, RIDE, heads into another week of likely volatile trader after great concern warning rattled investors last week. So that's one that actually held up, and we're going to go over the charts as I kind of go over these news. Because the reason why I like to go over the news is they're always pumping or putting out news in correlation with something that's going to be happening in the future. And you can see that ride had a really strong pullback here. GOEV is also on the spotlight of the electric vehicle sector. The company is hosting a investor relation day. The event is expected to provide insight into the company's vision for electrical vehicles to bring everybody focusing to everyone by focusing on use cases, increasing owner productivity while simultaneously generating multiple revenue touch points throughout the full revenue life cycle. And then Arrival, that's one that I actually haven't traded in a while. Arrival conducts one of the more intriguing presentations at the Deutsche Bank Global Auto Industry Conference. So that's happening this week. So those are ones that we should keep an eye on. And so normally what I do, and this is part of my process when I'm looking for trades or potential volume, or if I've seen news that, could potentially spur movement, I'll go ahead and I'll set resistances and supports like so. And I'll actually, here, let's pull this up. Yeah, so I'll basically set alerts on that one. And that one as well. So basically, wherever this one ends up moving, I'll be able to kind of track it. And that's kind of what I'm looking for there. So ride, GOEV. Funny enough, that one has a interesting setup there. Okay, so that one kind of looks like a falling wedge. It doesn't really have, looks like it was overcorrected here. You can see by that giant pull up there, or the giant pop there, but that one could potentially, if it does end up falling back down to like a 9-10, so this is how I would basically set alerts on this one as well. So find my resistances and supports, or at least something close that I know if, like, okay, if it breaks this resistance here, that's basically going to let me know that it's broken downtrend. So I can hop into the trade at that point, or evaluate where the volume is. Or if it breaks this low here, I know that the next potential down or support bounce is around that $9 mark there. So, all right. Yeah, so absolutely set up alerts. They are I can't, in fact, I should probably make a video on all of the different things that you can set alerts on. And here's the thing, and this is something that I want to stress to those of you watching, or if you're watching this later on replay, something about me is, or if you don't already know this, I'm taking a lot of requests, charting a lot. And so, like, I offer my insight, onto certain stocks. But there are certain stocks that I am hyper focused on. So, a lot of people, what I'm trying to say is basically, if you have like your playlist, or a certain set of stocks that you like, right? Whether it be fundamentally, or if you're a day trader, you just like how they trade. Focus on setting up almost like a trap, volume alerts, EMA crossover alerts, resistance lines like I have here, support and resistance, whole number breaks, that type of stuff. It is really good, to have set up, because it just really helps you prepare for movement in the future, and it helps you so that if you don't want to get caught, you want to be able to take advantage of movement and not. And one thing that stinks is, for me, sometimes I'm watching so many things that I miss a lot, and so for me, it's really crucial to set up alerts. So. All right. So GOEV, let's go look at REVL. Another really interesting setup there. That looks pretty much like a head and shoulders on the dot, although it's doesn't have a very... Ugh, that's pretty ugly setup. I guess this is a new IPO. And they have a presentation this week. That might be one worth watching. I would have to go look into the fundamentals of this, which would be really interesting to do. I think I'm going to go write that down. Because as far as I can see, these are... How old is this company? Let's see, back in February is when they IPO'd. Seems like they ran to 36. Okay. Let's go look at this daily chart. See what they're doing. Absolutely. If you guys have any requests, just go ahead and drop them in the comment section. I'd be happy to look at whatever stocks that you would want me to. Or that you want me to, excuse me. Okay. So this was, wow, that was ugly. Excuse me guys, I just like to set up these alerts. See, yeah, it doesn't look good. There's the real story right there. Okay. So it looks like it's rejected resistance. So they're gonna release an article, and it's worth taking a look at. I'll set some alerts on that one. All right, so okay, so one thing that we could be watching this week. Okay, for sure, Snee, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to be paying attention to Microsoft. Basically, entertainment, gaming, anything like that. I think that sector may end up having a little bit of movement. That includes ATVI, Sony, which is SONY, which I miss trading. The reason why is because it is a swing trader's dream, because you can go long on it and it just gaps up. I don't know if there's like a secret setup on this thing, but it's sick. I love it. This one doesn't look really good though. Yeah, this is about where we played it last time. It just rode the 9-day moving average up. It was really cool. Okay. So yeah, ATVI. Ooh, that one actually has a really great setup that I already have charted. Looks like it's up pretty flat up against. And the reason why we're going to be watching these is the annual Electronic Entertainment Expo takes place in a virtual format this year. Nintendo, Microsoft, which is Xbox, Ubisoft, Capcom will also be at the event. Sony, ATVI. And they're going to be basically going over new games. Nintendo's putting out the new Nintendo Switch. So those are definitely things to watch with those type of movements that can spur movement within that sector. And honestly, taking a look at Activision, you can see a pretty clean break in that downtrend, a nice retest there. The only thing that I see, and it doesn't look terrible, but hopefully that's not a reversal pattern. So if we end up breaking over this high, and you can see, excuse me. So take a look at that. That's a pretty strong resistance. If we end up breaking up and setting up a bullish candle anywhere around the 99, 95 level, this could be potential long play. If you see it consolidating in here, I'd likely stay away from it, because if it doesn't, because looking at it, you kind of have what looks to be a cup and handle, but I do see this like almost descending wedge, or falling wedge, if you will. So, all right. Okay, so Acorns is planning to go public through a special purpose acquisition transaction with Pioneer Merger. That's PACX, Pioneer Merger Group. This one is a fresh baby stock. So we're going to be watching this one for a good bit of volatility here. As Acorns is a well-established app. They're social. They're out there for sure. I mean, they've Ashton Kutcher's been a spokesman. Their app ads are everywhere. I've used Acorns, so that's one that's definitely on watch this week as well. Where is my marker? Oh my gosh! So what that ticker is? Okay. So I'm reading here. It says that the publication is weary on Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing, which is TSM, after its big run-up, looking at the healthcare... Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so that's... I'm not quite sure what has come out. I'm going to have to read on that. That's interesting. Let's actually go look. You know what's going to be really good to... One thing that's really good to set alerts on, and I haven't really updated my alerts on them, but this helps to... Obviously, you can use a heat map, but by the time you're using a heat map, most of those plays have gotten away. I have a lot of the spiders here, consumer staples, financials, technology. That one's been on a really strong uptrend. Utilities, that one's actually looking to break downtrend. And so one thing that I like to do, right, is just basically set alerts on those stocks or those ETFs, and in that way I can kind of keep track of what sector I need to be paying attention to. Let me go down here to the hourly. So I'm going to set an alert there. And then the next resistance 66.15. So, okay, gas exploration. I just kind of want to see what these sectors. Biotech has been falling. Home builders looks like it's building a flag. Keep an eye on that one. This one will likely go back down there, but I imagine that one will build a flag. Materials. Sorry, this is the boring part of this process. Channel trading. Whew. Metals and mining. This one looks to break out here soon. Although I never like these type of patterns at all-time highs. But okay. All right, that's really it for kind of news-based stuff for me, and kind of like took a quick peek over the ETFs there. All right, so let's go look at a couple of different plays that we had set up and that we'll be watching. Okay, so right off the bat, I want to look at Roblox, as that last play that we took on Roblox was or excuse me, that last run up for Roblox was really strong, but we saw it really pull back heavy, and I'm kind of curious with that flow that we saw where exactly Roblox is planning on bouncing, and if this is a legitimate bounce, because when I pull this up, right, and this is linear obviously, right, so look at that, right, you get this pretty obvious downtrend. This is actually where Roblox originally broke out here. So you get this wick, right, that immediately rejects. So there's almost like this hidden trend line here, and so I'm curious what's going to happen if we're going to end up breaking back above. And so I'm just going to go ahead and set an alert on that trend line, and if we start kind of wick filling going into next week, then we might just end up making like a cup and handle or something of that nature. But we're bottoming out here, and buyers are stepping up at this $90 level. So definitely curious to see if this one's going to continue to move up here in the next couple of days. I think what I'm going to do here is set an alert at 94. And I have a pretty obvious support here, so I'll set an alert there as well. So let's see here, and you know what? Yeah, so I like this one. The reason why we're going over this in the first place is anytime we see flow, you know, like this, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. So so this was early in the day. Now I'm curious to see, and I might be able to actually look here. I'm gonna go look at these 107 calls and see what the volume looks like. So those were the 625, 107 calls. Nope, they're gone. So it is highly likely that they were just taking advantage of a quick pump on that one, but I'm not quite too sure if this one, and especially looking at the chart, they may have been speculative, but it looks like they've mostly taken profit. Yeah, so I can't imagine with this type of movement. So also another thing is every time you make a new high, like look at this Roblox pump, and you can say potential short covering, but this is an attempt at buyers holding it up at this level. You can see if we draw a line right here, buyers are definitely trying to keep it at that $90 mark, and they lose it for a second and they pull it back up. But I mean, this is not showing strength in either direction, and I'm sure if we go to the daily, that'll be represented here. So you do have a long leg of dragonfly doji there, but then right next to it you have an inverted hammer. So it's definitely and this, when you see stuff like this, that's basically like, you know, sellers and buyers trying to figure out where exactly this price is going to go after making a really reasonable run up. And I mean, like this pop right here, the $94 strike, or the $94 pop that we got yesterday, like it hit the 9-day moving average on the dot, and then rejected it pretty quickly. So in my opinion, I would likely think that if next week the Qs, and we can get past inflation or any type of inflation data or whatever Jerome Powell says, because usually the market will move on his word. So we'll be paying attention to that type of stuff. But there is movement to the upside potentially if Roblox can recover that previous support now turned resistance. So let's see here. Am I wrong? Hold on one second. I might be wrong, guys. Hold on a second. Okay. Maybe a little bit wrong. Hold on, let's see here. I may have goofed up here, guys. Okay. Alright, maybe I did. Well, it's better to be wrong now than be wrong later. So it looks like, yeah, it does. Here we go. So okay, so rewind here. It looks like this is actually a support bounce, so I'm glad I saw that now. And looking at the angle of these wicks here, looks like it's broken downtrend as well. So although those calls are gone, we'll be paying attention to this one. And obviously this is one that I like to trade anyway, so we will be watching this one for sure next week. This is on the watch list. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down as a stock to watch this week. All right. So Microsoft. Now, I don't even think I have to tell you guys what this is. That is a bull flag, if you didn't know. I also, this really weird look right here, but without that bounce right there, this is an inverse head and shoulders. Now, I love inverse head and shoulders, and this is the neckline that is currently flagging on top of. So I'd like to see a nice bounce off of this. Now, pay attention to the 4-hour timeline, because we could see another wick down to that 9-day moving average. So we'll look at the hourly here. And this is kind of what this looks like at the moment. Now you can see one level to be really weary of, right, is right there. Look how many times the sellers took it down at that level. Now they keep it in this flag, which is awesome, but regardless, this is a level to break for sure. So we'll bring that down. That level looks like 258.50. So let's keep that one, and I'm going to go ahead and send an alert on it like I always do. We're going to move over here. We're going to set up alert right here. Obvious little pullback where those bodies of those candles are, right? So we'll go ahead and get an alert on that. And then at the same time, I would like to set an alert right here on the 20-day. Because if that ends up pulling back, then we can likely try and buy it off of the support bounce. So that was another potential one that we could be watching. All right. Also, going into next week, those of you with larger accounts, it looks like, hold on one second. The $93 strike, maybe even the $94 strike on Roblox, by the way, is one that I would likely watch, for sure. So just to make sure. But anyway, on Microsoft, we have a nice bull flag here, pretty clean. Those of you who don't follow me on TradingView, posted, let's see, where is it at? No, it's right there. This one on June 7th, right around, I think it was somewhere in this low. I think, yeah, it was right here, 251, right underneath 251. And so we've seen a nice little run up here, but let's see here. All right, I'm almost done. There it is. So those of you who don't know, I'm going over. What's up, Sean Trotter? What's up, man? So this is CRAV. This is the black-owned banking bank, and that's been featured on CNBC and all that. And that stock's been moving really, really strongly. This one's a shout out to Rolly in the group who brought this to us. Definitely one that I'm going to be purchasing equity in. I think it's definitely worth it. But I also want to show you guys like how gnarly this breakout was. Super duper clean right there. And then you actually have this resistance. It was actually kind of channel trading, but bam, huge pop out, nice retest, and it just seems like it's cruising now. So I like this one for a long-term hold. One second. Okay. Oh, ABML, sorry. This is another one, guys, that we're watching, and let's fix this. This is actually another shout out to Rolly. I'm going over some of his plays, or going over some of his long term, because they're ones that I'm interested in and likely going to be buying more of in the future. And this is based off fundamentals and also just the fact that he's super smart with that stuff. But this one, I just wanted to point this out. First of all, they're moving to the NASDAQ, verified by their CEO. And then you also have a nice cup and handle, nice rounded bottom on this one. So it's sitting at $2.30. It's another favorite in our chat. So that's going on watch this week as we try and basically accumulate a better average. Kind of load up before it moves out. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So we're gonna be looking at a few other ones that I was watching. So if you guys are in MaxR, this one is currently still looking really, really good. I'm not, to be honest with you, at least the ticker name on the screen is cut off by 2 letters. Is it really? I'm suing. Okay, I'll fix it. Oh, you know what? How's that? I don't know why I didn't do that earlier. I had that set up for transition. Better? Cool. Perfect. Okay, so right off the bat, this one has the potential. I like this setup a lot, but analysts need to stop digging into this one. Hopefully we don't see anything happen here, but MaxR, massive cup and handle on the daily. Love this stock. I think it goes higher. They have basically a hierarchy over space. Analysts are divided on it, but in the meantime, it has a gap to fill, and it looks like it might actually make that happen. But it has a gap to fill all the way to 38, basically 39. But I think it would likely hit $40 if it ends up filling that gap. So definitely going to be watching MaxR this week. I'm going to go ahead and set some alerts, show you guys kind of what I'm watching here. Same thing. You can see that one has a pretty decent setup. Excuse me. So what I would do, oh my god, I gotta change that. How do I change that? Oh, much better. Okay. Okay, so although I have the linear resistances and supports there, what I would like to do is set these horizontal ray right there. Obviously a well-respected resistance, right? So that's where I want to see a break. And maybe even set another one at that wick fill at 36.35 just for good measure. Perfect. So MaxR is, I've been playing this company for a long time, look at that, the earnings dump, so bad. And finally, I mean, they finally have broken downtrend, and actually, if I pull this out a little bit and correct my resistance and support, it has a textbook breakout and retest on this ascending triangle. So if I pull this up just a little bit where you can see that consolidation there, just an absolute perfect retest. Nice sitting up right there. So I just want to see a breakout with some decent volume, or it might continue to kind of channel trade or consolidate in this area. But looking for that breakout this week. Obviously, just need to see the market work with us. So I like this one a lot. Anyway, so MaxR, always on my list, always one that I'm watching. BA, so let's take a look at BA. Look at the ridiculousness that is my chart right now. The reason why is because we trade it all the time. Look at it on the daily. Ridiculous. Okay, so pulling this up right here. Actually, you know what? Pull this back. Okay. Now, I never like when I see that right there, kind of like almost like a little bit of a double top, but I do like when I see these type of setups. So it looks like it's been pulled into like a bit of a channel trade here, and it's bouncing, you know, every single time it pulls down it bounces back up. I mean, the sellers are definitely taking a stand on this level, and I'm not gonna lie, we caught a good run on it, but it does look like it has an hourly head and shoulders, right? Doesn't mean a forever dump, but it could mean a little bit more downside here on Boeing. So watch for this one to actually push up and maybe even hit this resistance around 248.51 again. But then likely I would see it falling. Now, if it does end up going back down to support and it does not, well, here, let me rephrase this. If it does not end up going to that resistance and ends up breaking down out of this very obvious bear flag, and this, here's how you can play this bear flag if you're a scalper, right? So, well, not like that. So what I would do, right, is I would run this support like that. I mean, you don't have to do the top one, but I like to keep that one. It lets me know if it's broke trend. But how you could do this one is essentially when you break that support, obviously you're going to want to wait for some type of retest. You can be out a week or two in expiration, so that way you don't get caught. And then when you do see that spill or pull back, you know where you can take weekly contracts if you're trying to scalp this one. Obviously, I like to have long contracts out as well if the continuation, or if it continues pulling back. So I would set levels just like that. So if you guys want to snapshot that or pause the video and screenshot it, you know, this is a bear flag, pretty obvious, and then you know where your support is, which is right around the, oh, I can't see it actually, hold on. Looks right around the 245 level. So okay, BA. Oh, Jamie, that one I don't. My charts are crazy right now. All right, guys. We'll go ahead. Let's look at BA. You could say that. I think that, I mean, it's not yeah, you could definitely say that. I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, you could say that it's a cup and handle. I mean, you definitely have that cup. You have a bit of a handle. That's kind of a rounded top there. So you might see a little bit more of a pullback on that daily time frame. Maybe even see a pullback to the 20. Like I said, look at where the 20-day moving average is on the daily. It's right there at 245. So we might see a bounce at 245. I would set an alert there. So let's see. All right, so if you guys want to send in, hit me with a request. I'll go over whatever tickers you're watching. Lazy Boy has earnings, right? This week. Yeah, I saw that. Well, I can tell you that in the last, I mean, judging off of this last high, it got corrected. It looks like it fell back into its downtrend. So it looks like it's broke downtrend, right, going into earnings. How do they react on earnings? They shoot up. Oof. You know, one thing that I could bring up on Lazy Boy is that if there has been a record amount of homes being purchased, then I would imagine those homes have to be furnished with something. I don't know what, but that's just a wild guess. Okay. So just looking at the daily chart here, you do have almost like a double top here. That doesn't look like it's going to end up playing out. You did have a pretty clean downtrend or daily trend here. And that's what you look at all this, like look at these corrections to try and get it back up on support and just fighting. So you even have a bounce here, rejection off of that daily support, turned resistance. So this earnings might actually be the thing that spurs a little bit of movement in the stock. You can see here, this earnings, they did rather well. That was February, right? So that was through the pandemic. Home buying, that has picked up substantially. So Lazy Boy might see a little bit of little feedback there. And lots of raw commodity inputs. Yeah, but I'm curious if Lazy Boy has, like, you know how certain, like, IKEA has that, they have their own mills. I'm sure they buy lumber, but I'm sure that they own that. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that they're buying lumber from. I'm curious. Maybe we should look that up. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, right here. IKEA is buying up thousands of acres of forest land. Yep. Crazy. They're buying up big plots of forest land. So yeah, there you go. That's how you undercut. I'll pull that up right here. Hold on. Oh, here's an article. Let's see. Can you guys? There it is. So you have IKEA, you know, buying. I mean, that's IKEA anyway. They're buying. What's up, Jeffrey? They're buying up tons of lumber. And acreages for future lumber production. So they're trying to get ahead of the game, especially with lumber prices inflating. That's a good move on their part. Lazy Boy, on the other hand, might not be able to find. This is how I found the last one. Oh, I forgot my R. I got lumbar support. Yeah. Let's just keep it simple. I'd have to do a bit of digging on that one. I don't want to waste any more time, but that is a possibility. So maybe if they're able to kind of avoid having to pay so much for lumber, then that would likely be less effective. If they're buying lumber, then the inflated prices of lumber would obviously ramp up the cost of production, and that would not help their profits at all. So, all right. So, what do we have here? Yeah, so I would just watch this one, keep it simple. Wait for volume. This is what good volume looks like here. So you might get a little bit of a run up here. I don't know here. 95.45. That's it's right around that. I don't know if that's all-time highs. It is all-time highs. So, and I think it's worth taking one more look as well at the weekly. Okay, so you have this. There you go. So that's why we zoom in, that's why we zoom out. That's exactly why. So look at that little weekly triangle for you. I wasn't quite sure with these ugly wicks, but that wick is verified. So, and these are corrections. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I would imagine good earnings would put it at 44.40, right? Bad earnings would have it below 41. And in my experience with earnings and these type of setups, they usually stay. You can even see here the correction. If it does, like, you'll see a pretty fierce correction. The 200-day moving average is at 39 right now, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And that has been a really, really strong support. So I don't know too much about them, but just in the climate of things, maybe they might voice concern with home buying slowing down, but I don't know. I'd have to imagine they're doing pretty well. So, all right. Let's see here. Let's go look at Ford. Ford. I could talk about Bitcoin. Yeah, if you can make money on it, I'll talk about it. Wait, maybe not. I retract that statement. So I want to call this a flag. It honestly looks a little bit too tapered to be a flag. Could be the start of an ascending triangle. Anytime I see a wide base like this, it always makes me, or excuse me, not an ascending triangle, an ascending wedge. It always reminds me very much of the start of an ascending wedge. So, but I do like the doji, right? Nice doji here, finishing right here. That is bullish. So I would expect a reversal this week. So let's go down to the 15-minute. If that's how we feel, right? And look at this. Okay, you get a nice tight pennant, gap up, pennant. I can't imagine it falling down now after that. Obviously, this can be a little bit algo traded. There we go. So, nice little pennant. I would imagine a break, and just looking at here at the daily. Let's go set some resistances and supports. There's one. Sean. And let me go clean up that resistance really quick. There we go. It's a little bit better. Okay, so it looks like a little pop over resistance or we're consolidate. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so we're consolidated underneath resistance. So I would put the mark at 1535. You might get a pop up and then a retest, so be careful on that one. But it looks good to potentially break downtrend here. Yeah, you even have the 200-day moving average opening up. So I would definitely go down to the lower time frames and set some alerts on that one. I'm going to go ahead and set this alert at 1530. And because this one will get, I don't want it to get away from me, 1533. Wow, I forget how it moves in pennies. So for 1537 as well. So just set some alerts right there. That way you can, you get notified. Volume, look at the volume here towards the end of the day. That's always great. You always want to see good volume. So gap up, looking at the daily, again, that's usually a reversal candle here. Anytime you make a doji, like so. So check that out, doji halfway up. So you might see a little pop up, might even make another doji tomorrow, but I would suspect 1550, a break over that mark, and we'll see Ford back on its way into the 16s. So okay, so we got Twinkie. I had organic Twinkies the other day. It was weird. I don't know, that thing moves like garbage, man. It looks like a good long-term hold, to be honest, but yeah, Twinkie. I guess it is good for a day trade because we have seen it pop pretty hard. Did I miss? Yeah, we'll look at Snap. I see that. So this one's having some pretty crazy movement. I don't know what the hell this is. Kind of unusual. You see here, big wick up, big pull back down. This one got wicked up, and it's still trying to push back up. I don't know if buyers are just really aggressive on Twinkie. But this is a whole mess right here, man. I mean, kind of past fundamentals when you get that type of crazy movement right there. So looks like you might get a short. You might end up seeing a pullback. Let's fix that. There you go. So you might see a pullback here back down to the 15. Looking at this mess right here, I mean, you don't see this on a breakout. You know what I mean? Let's see. All in all, if you look at them, they're in a good uptrend. Post pandemic, post COVID crash, they're moving up slowly but surely. So doesn't look like a terrible equity buy. It's been on their sentiment lately. Okay, well, I mean, in that case, holy shit. That's the biggest freaking inverse head and shoulders I've ever seen in my life. If that even is one, but damn. Okay. That's pretty crazy volume. I want to say it looks good, right? Anything with this, my recommendation is just put a little bit of money out into options, into leaps, so that if you do end up getting a run up, maybe see a run there. I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's Twinkies. Huge. All right. And that Donald Trump, huge. I miss his tweets. Okay, Isaiah. He said this Wi-Fi bread. Okay. All right. What else are we watching? We're watching Snap. Let's go look at the charts here. Let's clean this up. I haven't watched Snap. Ooh. Damn. I don't know what Wi-Fi bread is. It sounds new, but. Let's go. Okay. Perfect. Ooh, you don't get cleaner than that, Snapchat. Let's go. God dang, I was playing Snapchat in the 20s, y'all. 20s. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that right towards the end. You know, the one thing that I've learned not to trade is SPY. And I know that sounds crazy, but stocks are moving divergent from, yeah, it looks good. But I use SPY for protection. So if I have calls to the upside, I may grab SPY puts to the downside so that if we gap down, I can take profit or have that put just in case. But otherwise than that, I can find stocks relatively easily without having to rely on SPY. So I got you, Jeffrey. I won't forget. I'm going to eat a chip. Okay, so. Oh, yeah. Snap above 65. Let's go ahead and set some. So right off the bat, obviously we want to climb over 64. Definitely good. We're going to write that one down. Yeah. So basically, right here you have a really beautiful double bottom. I'll just say that you get a double bottom right off of the $50 support. You could. Oh my God. Oh, sorry. I just saw this. I love inverse head and shoulders. Look at this. Look at it. It's almost like a double bottom with an inverse head and shoulders, but this one, that is about as clean as it gets. We're going to be watching Snapchat. Let's go down to the hourly. Okay, clean set right there. Remember this pattern here. When you see that, look at this. When you see that, just it's always meant to shake investors out every time. I mean, you get these really parabolic pullbacks. It scares the crap out of people. Oh, Jeffrey, that's really nice, dude. And you're fire with it, dude. So Sean, let's see, where did that? I feel like I'm Snee. Sorry, not Sean. So this one, yeah, honestly, over 64.18. Watch that one. You could tentatively, right, pay attention to the volume as you go for the wick fill. You get the wick fill, then I think you're off to the races. And the races would likely send you, I see kind of a macro, obviously 65, that's a psychological support, but 64 seems to be the bigger support. But you also have the inverse head and shoulders here, and something I'm going to do really quick. All right, so take a look at this. Does that look like it would dump? Like if you were like looking to buy a stock, would you buy a stock that looks like that? right? So I know it sounds really stupid. Invert your scale sometimes, right? Because it's sometimes easier to identify patterns. That's a very obvious double top. But once we turn it right back, right side up, nice double bottom and an inverse head and shoulders. So I like this one a lot to move up. This line, that right there, and I might even add. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add the alert, but I'm gonna once per bar. So every time a bar touches that, it'll set an alert, and then I'm gonna go to the hourly. Same thing. Yep, okay. Cool. All right, so I like that. I like that setup. You could even say it has a little 1 hour cup and handle or rounded bottom there, but it looks great. And all we need to see is correlating movement from the cues. Obviously, that would help. Okay, so thank you for everybody who's dropped a like in here. I appreciate that. You guys are fire with it. Okay, so Snapchat, we got alerts set on that one. We're going to be watching that one for sure. I don't know why it's not on my watch list. There you are. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at, we got Snap, CMG, Chipotle Mexican Grill. I literally buy the stock. I'm literally eating Chipotle right now. Yeah, SNE. Now, also, one thing before I move past Snap, one thing to keep in mind, remember to have a contract, have contracts, right? So let's set up a quick plan. I'll get right back to this. Sean Trotter said, "What's Discord?" Thanks, guy. That's not even a ticker. Okay, so let's set up a plan, right? We can't go into this blindly. So let's go to Snap. You guys should pull up your chains too. Have a notepad, okay? If you're looking to set up a plan for the week, what is it? What does it need to look like? If it doesn't look like that, it doesn't matter. Find something else to trade. So let's go look at June 18th, right? So those will be okay, so because this is on the daily, and you guys remember, time frame setups on different time frames directly correlate with the contracts that you're looking to purchase, right? So a day, if you're looking at the daily, please don't try and scalp the daily is basically, yeah, I'll send an invite right now. All right. Here's the Discord channel right here for those of you looking to hop in. Okay, so let's do it again. Okay, so let's look at, now if we're looking at the daily, right, we see the setup, it looks great. Now we need to figure out, and those of you who are new, I'm gonna pull this up. Use pivot point strategy if you don't know how to set resistances and supports. These are really, really reliable for new traders, and I'll show you how and why. So if I put this right on the body there, you'll see right in that range. So pretty much on the money there. Same thing, right? Pull this up to the high. So that's basically going to let you know where your resistances are, supports are, stop losses, etc., in certain trades. So pivot point strategies are really good. Of course, Sean. I think he said 64 for snap, long-term breaking out if you're holding equity. For sure, yeah. Here it's Simple Stack Discord. Yeah, so I think what we should do, 65, the $65 strike, you could do June 25th, right? Now, how much does, that is only $180. And that's paying for a little bit of extra protection. Now, you could buy that on the first initial pullback during the day. We obviously have to pay attention to where the cues are heading. We also have a lot of news coming into this week, so we're going to have to be careful going long. But that's why we're setting up this plan. So what we could do, right? And I'm going to rewrite my watch list. Where am I? There I am. So let me do a quick reminder to myself that I don't have to write so freaking big. Okay. I do that every time. Dyslexia. Do the death of me. AMBL. Look, a real teacher. Snap. Okay. I need to put this on the wall. Okay. So for snap, right? So right off the bat, the $65 strike for, and we'll leave out the June. That's going to be the long call, right? Now, where do we see this heading in the next couple of months? You know, I don't think that they're going to tank the market on inflation anytime soon. So if we look at the next resistance, that's at 66.87. So what can we do by looking at 66? So let's go out to July 16th. And they don't even have that. But they do have a $70 call, which would collect quite a bit of IV. Let me go look at the IO. Volume, decent, okay. Delta's a little low. I would like it to be higher, kind of like the 65. So that one is sitting currently okay, so 716. Now, where would we go? Now, this is just long, right? So those are what we could potentially enter. Now, for scalping, right? Because we're going to potentially try and look at this for a scalp because it has a really great setup and it has really, really great volume. Look at these. Look at the previous volume throughout these days. Not very substantial. Not enough to really write home about. So, in my opinion, and we need to also look and pay attention to how Snapchat moves, like how it just moves, period. You can see that with every single pump, there's always a pullback. Every single one of them. Look. And I mean, every stock does that, but Snapchat really does that for sure. So check this out. So we're looking at the daily, but we have to remember that even on the daily, right, it's not going to be just like perfect. And let's see, where's view up? No, I'm all right. that. So oh my God. Chandra. Okay, so right off the bat, just looking at this, we're obviously going to go right outside of the money. 60. What is that? Irish accent that just came out. Money. Going to go right side of the money on 64.50. Those are at 137. I think those will be substantial enough. And if it ends up hitting, and I believe that 65 would be the target. So I would buy those. I would have those 2 long calls. And then I would scalp whether and this obviously is capital dependent. If you're not within the capital to buy, those 2 calls, and then buy those, buy the actual underneath calls, scalp it, and then if you do end up getting a pullback, same thing. You're going to play those weekly puts and scalp that long call. So that way you don't ever get, you don't ever see that P&L like, oh God, like you have some type of protection. So that's what I would be doing there on Snapchat. But it looks good. I think it's good to set up a plan on this one. So, all right. So let's go and finish up with Chipotle. I have half a burrito here staring at me. It's not literally staring on me. If it was, I'd probably be on mushrooms right now. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? I don't know. All right. I can't put it that simply. Isaias, I think that's your name. So you don't want to buy both calls and puts, like at the same time. So what I'm saying basically is that because we understand that Snapchat is not going to run to $70 automatically. If it does, sick. But if we do get a substantial movement and we can identify, right, because we're using price action, flow if we have to, if we see any type of pullbacks in the future, especially after, like I said, a couple of days of strong run, at that point I would just grab a put. Because I'm looking to capitalize and make money on any movement. So if it pulls back, I'm going to buy those puts. I'm going to go ahead and write it down. I'm going to have marks. I'm doing this actively all through the day. I'm okay. Where's my next support? Where's my next support? Okay, perfect. Got it. Set alerts, like stop loss, profit taking. And I have those and I go over those with people in the Discord, obviously. Those of you in the Discord, you guys know. So we're looking for actual targets, both to the up and the downside, on the way with the ultimate goal of getting to that $70 strike, or even the $68 mark that we have marked now. So that's essentially what we're looking for. So, in your opinion, will Snap run tomorrow? There is a good chance that Snap could potentially run tomorrow. I would say this week. Looking at the setup here. Ha! Thought we were market makers. Yeah, I know. I get accused of being a market maker all the time. People say that because I'll signal something and then flow comes in. But that's the beauty of technical analysis. You want to be in before flow does. I mean, we're able to grab them. You guys in the chat can. We sometimes we buy stuff, and flow comes in, and it's sick. Yeah, I'm drinking a beer. I don't ever drink, but all right. So as far as Chipotle, it looks like it's found a bottom. You're getting really close to your pivot point as well, and that pivot point is perfectly aligned with the 50-day EMA. Let's go ahead and turn off those pivot points. Now let's take a look at it now. So looks like you got earnings. I did see that. It's raining right now. July 20th. So you could potentially play the run up to 1390, or basically I think that that 1390 would be that 50-day mark or 50-day EMA mark. It's also seems to be a relatively strong support up here. But with earnings so close, be careful, because if it decides to run up into earnings, because on last earnings it's dumped. So in anticipation for the next earnings date, perhaps we will see a brief run up. So going into last earnings, it looks like we ran up into that earnings as well. It looks like it likes to run up into earnings, in fact. And ooh, look at this. This is why it's fun to kind of go back and chart. Look at this ascending wedge. That's textbook right there. Oh, why wasn't I there? That's my favorite play, because you can catch them at the top. If you can catch these, you can catch puts at the top, and that's money. I love it. So it would be smart to buy some 65 calls tomorrow. How do you highlight questions? Can you do that? I don't know how to do that. I saw some guy on his YouTube channel. He made the questions like pop up. Oh, there it is. Is that right? Did you guys see that? I have no idea. Anyway, but okay. So would it be smart to buy $65 tomorrow? I don't want to. It did? Oh, sweet, cool. So basically, if our prerequisites are met, and I'll go back. Sorry, Jeff. I just don't want to leave. I want everybody to be on the same understanding here. So, if Snapchat shows, right? So if we gap up, right? If we gap up and we're around 63.35, 63.50, then I would be watching it there for continuation. Let's see here. 65. Yeah, I mean, it's already wicked and hit 65 once. This is a support line that we can draw right here. So this is why I'm going to tell you not, right off the bat, don't just buy calls because they look good. It looks good, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good. Or there's a lot of room to consolidate, is what I'm trying to say. So look at this. So we could end up tapping this and pulling all the way back to this 50D EMA. So the setup, because we see, this is the importance of knowing that option contracts correlate directly with the time frame that you're looking at. This is the hourly time frame, right? Doesn't look as pretty as the daily does. The daily looks great, wow. But the hourly time frame looks more or less like there's room for consolidation if and only if the volume and market isn't available for running up. So if investors are acting as if they're anticipating news on the FOMC, then you might see consolidation until the end of the week, and we maybe chop. So the setup may still remain as long as we stay above this yellow line. Then we could potentially wait for the first bounce off of that and then buy those long calls for cheaper rather than buying them right out. So what I would wait for is an hourly candle close, because we do not want to get faked out. This is fake out central right here, right? This is that big daily resistance, and we need big volume. We got big volume here, so we have the first step, but we need to see the same thing come Monday morning. So even on the 5-minute, right, I want to see volume that looks just like that. Now this ended up completely dumping, and you can see, remember this little setup here. If you see wicks everywhere, that means that the bears are present. and to pay attention. Does that make sense, Sujit? Also, did I say your name right? So basically, we're just going to be reacting. We're going to be... So when we get to... and here's another one that we can do. And this is purely speculative because we don't want to get all excited or... Got you. Okay, cool. So on the lower time frame, if we see it break and hold above 64.38, the chances of it going up are high. If we see volume consistent with this type of movement down here, then yes. If it looks like this, no, we're going to sit on cash, or we're going to look at taking long contracts that are not going to be affected by choppy movement. We want to buy contracts that are going to sit and hold their value regardless of the chop. So that's why we're paying for a little bit of extra protection, but if we can get it a little bit cheaper, that's exactly what we want to see. Alrighty, so let's go to... It is raining super hard. Maybe I should get my feet off of the metal rungs of this desk. That's right by the window. All right, perfect. All right, well, so if you got that one. Anyway, Jeffrey, as far as Chipotle is concerned, look for this break of downtrend. Pretty clean here, man. Maybe even take it to the 4 hour. There we go. That looks like a correction. No, that's correct. So I would suspect that anywhere up past this line there. So first mark being 1375, you could take a speculative position, right? Maybe wait for the first. I would suspect that you would hit this resistance, retest, and then finally break that. But you have the setup for a potential double bottom there. So, and then I know you were talking about NVIDIA. This one, I hate to be so just up front, but the shit's going to 800. And I just... Here, let's do this. So look at Tesla. Pure rippage, right? On the split announcement. Split, dump. God, we were trading it back there. And then I thought it was going to dump. And then they were like, we're going into the S&P. Yeah, so just look at the price action here. It ran, but it still had pullbacks. I think NVIDIA runs until the split. That's just my... I mean, I'm just historically looking at most splits on companies that do really well. That's exactly what I would suspect is going to happen here. And I honestly think 800 is a modest target, to be quite frank with you. So I think 800, 775, somewhere in that price target range. I mean 750 if you're being really modest, but how about Cliff? Yeah, we'll look at Cliff. Sorry. Nvidia broke out of a pretty obvious bear flag on the 4-hour, and I would honestly suspect you do have a little bit of you have kind of a little inverted hammer, maybe even close to a spinning top, but I honestly think that Nvidia, if it doesn't gap up, likely just needs to retest this 9, but that was a really clean breakout of this flag here. So I think you'll see continuation, especially looking at all the other technology stocks that have that setup. So that is my opinion. Honestly, it's in price exploration mode, volume's high, so just ride the train while you see the momentum and the volume there. I'll be doing the same. So I'll go down to the 5-minute here, set some alerts. Looks like it's gonna make some type of flag. Yep. Might pull back here. I'm not quite sure, but I don't want to guess on that one. But if it was going to make a flag, it would probably pull back right around there. Just looking at the way the wicks are angled. So I'll set an alert on that trend line. But likely it's might flag again, or you might just gap up and push. But I think it continues to run. So. Wow. This one, Rolly's got this one to the T, but guys, I have a few more tickers for you guys, and I'm gonna hop off because I do not want my computer to get fried. So this one very impressively, yeah, so this one broke, retested, and then just ripped again. And it on huge volume. I mean, just crazy volume. Rolly's been playing Cleveland Cliffs for a long time. So I imagine you're going to get a little bit more run. I would say 25 is your first psychological mark, 2450. But this one is prime for continuation looking at the volume. You do have earnings all the way in July. So it looks good. I mean, just technically, Rolly has a whole different mother. You may see one last push up. Let me go look at the hourly really quick. No, that was a nice clean breakout of a flag. So if you break these wicks and push in these new highs, and it looks like it's already broken 2450. I don't know why my chart didn't show me that. But yeah, so if you end up breaking this, and you have crazy volume up here, so if you end up breaking this, squeezing out whatever shorts are in there, I would imagine we'll see some continuation on that one. Big volume, really nice. Awesome. Do I recommend what? Lazy Boy or Chipotle? Chipotle, they're a bit expensive and their spreads are kind of wacky, but I personally stay away from it just because I just eat it. I will leave you with this on AMC. AMC stocks is not done. With GameStop and all other stocks, there's going to be certain levels where you get into certain fights, right? Think of it like a video game because it's honestly how it moves. With AMC, every level, the 60s, the 50s, you're going to fight someone that they're going to have to figure it out. Well, thank you, Alfredo. I appreciate that. So, here's something to keep in mind. As long as you're buying these stocks, you don't have to do anything but hold them, right? So I'm not saying to buy these stocks. But if you have these stocks, they're trying to act like they can hold forever. Like they can just keep these shorts down on you. Also, news articles keep saying the same exact thing. You know, you're not able to be, or the short squeeze is over, or whatever the case may be. It's not. It hasn't begun. It maybe you have some shorts losing money, but eventually, at these levels, they will have to cover, and they are going to continue to naked short because it, in some regards, you know, like it's legal if you can find the shares, it's illegal if you can't, or if you're just making them up. But having the type of news like on CNBC where you know, get an SEC official essentially like, yeah, absolutely, like, you know, naked shorting is happening. You're only adding fuel to the fire. So, in my opinion, it's past fundamentals. This is a whole different type of fight. Oh, God. Anyway, so I think it's one at a time. Meme stocks will run. And what was it, YOLO? Is that no, that's cannabis. What was the ETF for meme stocks? Someone help me out here. We had this one written down. Awesome. Thanks, Josiah. Glad you learned something, man. We'll be on at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Get ready for the market. So if you want to hop on, then you're more than welcome. Okie dokie. So what else we got, guys? I got Thunder coming in. What other stocks do we want to look at? There it is. Wait, no, FOMO? That's right. Y'all knew that one. That's hilarious. No, there's another one. There's another one. Hold on. Did I already Google that one? There it is. Buzz. Buzz. That's the name of it. Uh-oh, Buzz has a bull flag. Look at that. That's crazy. Ripping all the way up from there. So it's on a little bit of a pennant, so go either way, but okay, let's look at Bitcoin because you did ask. Yeah, for sure. Sorry. You know what this looks like? Looks like the beginning of a rounded bottom. So you're going to continue to consolidate. I will say you almost hit that 200-day EMA, right? That's that big support level that when you break, right, you get major downside. I mean, that's your major support. You can even see here Bitcoin running up, almost losing 50%, and then gets stopped, pulled back up on that 200-day EMA. So yeah, it does. You do, yeah, it does. Interesting, but yeah, you do have that inverse head and shoulders right there. Nice clean breakout there. So yeah, and you just, so what's happening here is you're actually making let's see, what is that? It currently is almost a gravestone doji, which is a reversal pattern. That one's normally, you know, what you would likely see up against a resistance like this. But you can see that the body is being held. The buyers took it up, almost hit that 200, but not quite enough. So if you go to the daily here, honestly, it appears to me that it's going to continue to consolidate in this level, or it may or may not hit the 40K level. So I would likely say, yeah, I'm gonna say above 41, and Bitcoin has a chance to potentially run past the 42 and maybe even back into the 50s. But I'd leave it at that. So okay, AMAT. AMAT on the daily broke downtrend. We actually watched that one. It looks like that's not right. I'm just checking. Nope, that is right. Okay, so looks like right here you got 1, 2, 3 bounces off support. You're holding that 20-day moving average. You have the potential here to make, again, an inverse head and shoulders, and that would essentially be the shoulder here, head here, and then upon this dip would be that next, which would also, because it's in this triangle, would have it break out. So AMAT looks good. Just, I would say above that 9-day moving average. Excuse me. 138. And then, of course, alert on the trend line. Fisker looks like it's making a cup and handle right off the bat. Excuse me. It's probably going to be a shorter handle as the moving averages are crossing over relatively quickly. Let's see here. The volume hasn't spiked a whole bunch, so you have seen a really strong run. But this one, all I really can say is that you got a really nice EMA crossover and a nice rounded bottom, or cup, if you will. And there's no telling where this cup's handle if this is the handle, or if it continues to run, where that handle will end up forming. I would say 25 or even 20, but that's still relatively soon. So 20 would be the first mark that I would suspect it would start to handle at. And it may even be that this next support, hold on one second, but we may end up bouncing up, hitting 20, and then pulling back right around there. No, those indicators are not the only indicators that I use. I keep these indicators on here, but I try and keep it simple for people as I'm explaining it. So that way, obviously VWAP, it also depends on the situation. If I'm scalping really quickly, you know, if it's a 2 or 3 minute trade where I'm just hopping in and hopping out, that's where I'm looking to use like the 6-day moving average, something that's a little bit more reactive, or the 9-day moving average. Pivot point strategy if I'm not unsure of where my resistance is and support are. Excuse me. But yeah, so FSR looks good for continuation. This is a speculative. Nope, not so speculative. That is absolutely a resistance there. Again, damn, that was actually pretty damn good. So maybe suspect one more. So you may get one more pullback to 1825. Watch for that tap. You tap 1825, you may be able to secure yourself a breakout to $20 if you don't go now or tomorrow. All right, AMAT, FSR, SWI, SWBI. I do have a dyslexia, so oh shit, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Why? What's wrong with you, fingers? Do what I tell you. Smith and Weston. Smith. Boom. Ooh, nice. Snag that one. Excuse me, not telling you to do that, but I would likely take that one up to 22 for a short-term play. So if you have the capital to take advantage of that movement right there, looks like you're going to get popped. You're going to pop up into earnings, right? So maybe by June 15th, you'll likely be in that price range. Earnings is on June 18th, so please don't use that. Yeah, RSI, absolutely a great indicator to use. That's another indicator that I try and we'll leave it on there, and we'll talk about that one. And yes, that's absolutely a great indicator for any stocks other than meme stocks, but it can be a great indicator. So here you can see really choppy movement, but with just a simple little pullback, we enter almost into the oversold, bouncing up, giving us plenty of more room to run. But if we do end up running up to that $22 mark, we will likely be back in that overbought section like we thought. So watch that one to $22. I'll set one at $21.50. All right. And MACD is a good indicator for the most part. But can be kind of a pain in the butt. Because you can't, it's because it's a reactive indicator, you can't, it doesn't show you the future, but it shows you the strength. So for the MACD, right? So yes, this looks, you know, like you could say, oh man, look at this, like it's gonna bounce, right? Absolutely bounces, but the first initial rollover, you know, ends up being just flat and weak, and then the second bounce ends up going. Here, you don't really get any type of movement, but the MACD goes from green here to red, but doesn't show any strength. So it's good for while you're in trend, but as far as a prediction type of indicator, not so good. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. We'll be on in the morning, 8:30. Hopefully, you guys are excited for this week. I am. If the market doesn't show us the opportunities, if it chops, guys, remember FOMC, all of this data that's coming out, it's on investors' minds. It should be on your minds. Even if you don't care about it, you should still be thinking about the fact that it could influence investors' perspective on what is to come here in the future. So we do not want to get caught in anything like that. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for leaving likes. And we'll see you guys at 8:30. So thank you guys again.